So today's live stream is going to be about making a template that is going to be ready for Christmas. Because I know it's kind of early in the year, and some of you might be like, "Oh my God, it's Christmas already!" But I noticed a couple of questions on the YouTube group, in the Facebook group, about what kind of templates are brewing or what kind of things are happening for Christmas. So I thought we would try and make one today. Like a sort of Christmas related ornament. So cool. Let's get started. So here I am in the main Cuddle page. Something new that came out this week is this wedding cake topper. It's kind of cool. But I'm going to get started with my template. So I'm going to go to my projects, and I'm going to create a new blank project by clicking the plus sign. And I'm gonna show you more or less what my inspiration was. I was looking at stuff on Etsy, and I saw a lot of like snow globe ornaments. We have a similar ornament, but I thought this would be interesting because there are kind of like a lot of different variations that you can make based on this snow globe idea. But we don't have a snow globe template. So I thought I would kind of work on one. So I'm going to give it a title, Snow Globe. And so I'm going to get started just by making like the general overall, the general shape. So I'm going to grab a circle, and I'm going to select the rough size that I wanted. I'm going to go with like 4 inches. So I'm going to scale it immediately to 4 inches. And here I'm going to use a quick trick to make these into a ring. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to apply this modifier called outline stroke. So that just creates a sort of outline, and then I'm going to move this down a bit. And then I just want to give it some thickness. So let's call it 0.25 inches to start, or maybe 0.3 looks good. So that's my base outline. Then for the ornament, I want to have a little hole on top. And so I'm going to use another circle. I'm going to place it here. And I'm going to just kind of guess the size, something like 0.25 inches for the outside. So it'll be my hole. But I want that also to be kind of surrounded. So the trick that we tend to do for these kind of holes is the following. So if you select it and change the stroke to not be a hairline. The hairline is the one that it's by default because it doesn't change size in the browser, and it's the one that you would generally use for laser cutting. So we select no hairline, and then we can select the width. But by default, the alignment of the stroke is kind of like right in the center of the path. But that's not convenient because the bigger it is and the smaller the actual hole gets. And so it's kind of hard to decide. So the nice thing to do is to align it to the outer part of the path. That means that this hole, it's always going to be the size that I selected. But the outside gets to be, whatever thickness. So I'm going to make it something like that, or I'm going to match the thickness to this section. And so I'm going to give this one also a fill, because just to see in the overall shape. And I want this hole to go all the way through, so I'm going to give that one a white fill. If you'll probably see that where I'm going with this, I'm going to be using that flatten modifier. So everything that's black turns into a solid shape, and everything that's white turns into a hole. So that the nice thing about that is even if I nudge it down a little bit here, then the white remains a hole. But I don't want that. So it's kind of like the overall shape, but I want that kind of base for the ornament. And for this, I'm going to use a relatively obscure shape. I'm going to browse the shapes here. on the left, I'm going to click more shapes. And there are a lot of shapes to choose from. But there is this one called the flexed rectangle. And so I want to place that one here in the middle. So you'll see where I'm going with that. I'm going to give it also a black fill. And right now it looks like a bow tie, but we can change that. So I'm going to stretch it. So it looks like the base of the globe. I'm going to make it a little thicker. And so the fun thing about this flex rectangle is that here we can select the amount of flex on each of the sides. So I can select the top, right, bottom. So I want the bottom to be flat. So that means I want no flex there. So you can see how the bottom flexes down. So no flex would be just 0%. And then maybe a little bit more flex on the top, so it kind of gives me that kind of circular shape. Yeah, so I mean that could be tweaked a little bit more, but I think that I'm satisfied with that. And so now that I kind of build my shape, and I just kind of build the shape by making all the shapes black, I can select everything, and I'm going to apply that that flatten. And so flatten is like a very convenient way of building shapes, because whatever is black turns into a single thing, and whatever is white turns into a whole. And the easy way to see that is that now on the flatten I can turn on the stroke result, and so you can see that this is the shape I would end up cutting on my machine. So yeah, I think that would be the front layer of the ornament. And I probably gonna write something here, but let's do that. So I'm gonna grab some text. I'm gonna place it roughly where I want it. I want that text to be centered, so I'm gonna align it center. And then I'm probably gonna choose an interesting font. So maybe the handwriting has something like kind of Christmassy, I'm hoping for. Maybe I should. Yeah, I think I like that. So maybe I should write something Christmassy. Like, I'll start with something kind of generic. So I'm gonna make that smaller so it fits. I'll change the vertical align, and I want that to be so of course, I mean, now that we added some text, we can customize that later, but I'm gonna concentrate on finishing and kind of working on the ornament. So I probably want to engrave that at some point, so I'm just gonna give it a fill for now. And so that, in my template, this is gonna be the front. And so I'm gonna give it a name here. I'm gonna call it the front. And so now I wanna work on the decoration in the back. So I'm gonna create another component. So new component over here. And I wanna make this one 3 layers to start with. So there is like a front frame, then something in the back, and something further in the back. So that could be a simple backer. So on this one, I'm gonna call the mid layer. And so I think the mid layer should be a sort of version of the front layer. So, or like taking the front and doing something to it. So I'm gonna grab the front layer and put it here. So this is very similar to what I did last time, where I'm kind of like threading or sort of connecting one component to the next one. And so here I want to add some sort of decoration. And so at this point, you could, it could be anything, but I'm gonna, to keep it simple, I'm gonna try and find an external SVG that works for me. So you might have some of those in your collection, or you might look for them. But a website that I tend to go to find things is called the Noun Project. noun project where you can get a lot of like free SVGs. So I'm gonna search for Christmas. This is like a good resource for looking for ideas or like even specific things. So something that would look good. So I'm looking to cut that layer as a single piece. So I think I'm looking for something that is like a design that can be sort of laser cut. So for example, I like the look of this snowman, but it has kind of floating elements like the face and the buttons. So let's try and find something that could be. I like these designs, but like also it has like floating elements. These little canes are really cute. So the canes could be an option. It could be like a snowflake. Like this one, for example, has all the elements are connected. So that's a good option. I think the Sano could work because it's just like a single piece. And let's see. Oh, this is a simple Christmas tree. But I mean, the star is kind of floating, but we could fix that. Actually, let's do that. I like the Christmas. So I'm going to check that. So this one has a Creative Commons license. That means I can use it. I'm not going to be selling this template, but you get the idea. So I'm going to get just a basic download. Gives me so I'm going to download that SVG, and we can play with others. So I'm going to just import it into my design. So I'm going to go to File, Import SVG, and it should be in my Downloads folder. So that would be that Christmas tree. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So I think what I would want to do here is do a little edit. So I'm going to start by making it about the size that I need it. So I want it to sort of overlap, so it's like connected. And let's see. If I go to, oh, it's very simple. So I can double click into it, and that gets me into that like focus mode where I can edit the two shapes. It's actually very simple. It's composed of this star and this tree. I'm gonna click on the star, and I'm just gonna nudge it down until it's joined to the tree itself. And now I want these one to be, and now I want the whole thing to be a little bigger. And I want it to be centered. I'm just gonna nudge it with my arrow keys until it kind of makes sense. A little smaller. Yeah. So now I want to join this piece to that front layer, and I think the way I could do that is if I select both and I do like a. Let me see what the well done score would do here. I think the well done score would work because it joins the entire thing, but it still leaves me with that. Oh no, I'm sorry. I think well done score is not necessary here because what's going to happen is that the front is going to go on top of it. So let me undo that. I'm just going to do Command Z. I think I can simply, I'm going to make it smaller, and then I'm simply going to join it. Because actually that tree could just be floating there. I'm just going to join it. So I'm going to apply this Boolean union. So that's a simpler kind of operation than I was thinking. So that would be the mid layer where I have the tree in the background. And if I want, so let's carry on. So I'm going to create another component where I'm going to call the preview, where I can kind of sort of do my pre-assembly. So I'm going to call that the preview. to see how things are shaking. So I'm gonna have a mid layer here. I'm gonna give it a fill just to start with, so I can sort of get a sense for what I'm doing. Then I'm gonna have that front layer. That's gonna be like the front frame. So let's give it also a fill. Something more descriptive, like so. So, and now I want a back layer. So a very simple thing to do like just the very basic thing would be, but let's create another component that is called the back layer. And move myself here so you can see what I'm doing. So this one is the back layer. Just gonna put them in order. That doesn't matter too much. I'm just doing it. So the back layer for me is going to be the mid layer with some things added to it. So I'm going to place the mid layer here. And I think the next thing I would like to do is for it to have some sort of other decoration in the back. What could that be? So the important thing about this decoration is that it's joined to whatever I have in place. And I think it would like to be like some sort of falling snow, or it could be even simpler. Let's try like a little additional star as an example. So if I drag a little one of the existing stars and I sort of overlap it, I just kind of want it to be touching. I'm not sure this is the best example, but hopefully, yeah, let's go with that. We can always change it. Like sometimes in designing these things, you kind of want to try different things and see what happens. So I'm gonna round the corners of this star because I want to kind of match the roundness of these things. So I'm gonna apply that round corners modifier. Just change how much roundness they have. And then I kind of want to let's just copy this one. I'm going to duplicate it. And then place another one over here. So it's kind of, I don't know, little stars are falling. I don't know. I don't know if this design is going any place interesting for you, but duplicate it again. I'm gonna do Command D to duplicate, or Control D. Make it a little smaller. Sure, why not? So I'm going to apply the same operation to this one. So I'm going to select everything and do a Boolean union. So that just welds everything. So I can cut these as a single piece. And once again, I can know that everything's kind of properly welded because as you can see, the way it's kind of highlighted on its own, it has like a light green fill. And now let's look at it on the preview. So that means I'm going to drag the back layer in place, center it, and I want it to be all the way down. Well, let's give it a fill to get a sense. Let's say that my stars are pink. So my preview is not working because I need these back layer. I can see the order here, and I'm going to drag it by clicking here and bringing it all the way down to the bottom. So yeah, we have the front layer, the mid layer, and the back layer, and they are all distinct. So I think that's an interesting start. To make it into a kind of full-on template, I would probably want to be able to quickly customize that Merry Christmas right here. So I'm going to do the usual kind of details. I'm going to extract that as a parameter. So I'm gonna go to front, and then the text, I'm gonna select it, and then the three dots here on the right will have an option that says extract as a parameter, and then it tells me the text. So I'm gonna keep that name. And I want this parameter to be a project parameter, meaning it applies to everything. So I'm gonna click here and move parameter to project, so it appears right there. So that means now I can change this text. So of course, there are more ways we can customize this, so we can put any text and whatnot. But like this is just like a sort of start, like a primer to see. And then I think I want to do a cut layer. I mean, sorry, a cut component where everything is kind of laid out to be cut. So I'm going to create another component here. I'm going to call that the cut. And actually, it would be fine to apply the modifications that I want per component. But actually, let's just do it in the cut. So the cut is going to be, I want to be able to cut a front layer. And I probably want that stroke to be red. No, actually, I don't love that because it gives a red stroke to the text. So I'm actually going to apply it here. So I'm just going to give this one a red stroke. No, sorry, hold on. Yeah, let's keep it in the cut. So that's going to have the red stroke. That's fine. Then this is going to be an engraving. Then I want a mid layer. Same red stroke. And then I want a back layer. And also a red. Cool. So I think this is a decent start. Now, if I some things I might want to do. Okay, so this is like the very basic one, but it hopefully gives you an idea of the general structure that you can sort of approach. Another kind of interesting variation that I noticed, so the one I just made kind of very much resembles this idea, because this one, how many layers they made? Yeah, so they made 3 layers, and they have the penguins in the front and the Christmas tree in the back. Another variation that I've seen that is super common on Etsy is this one, where, how many layers? So 5 layers, and it's kind of like a shaker, or like, so hopefully I gave you enough ideas to like try and pull one of these off. I think that's an interesting look. Perhaps a simpler one is this one, where this actually might be a little easier to make, because I think this is 2 layers, or 3 if you want, but the middle layer is just acrylic. So yeah, I have 5 minutes. I could like try and pull this one off. The nice thing about this acrylic version is that all the decorative elements in the middle are engraved, and so you can kind of freely make things that you can engrave on acrylic to get that kind of look. Let's say if we were to make that one, how would we do it? So I'm going to try and do it quickly. So I'm going to go back to my projects. And I have this snow globe, that one we just created. So I'm going to create, I'm just going to duplicate it, so I don't repeat all the work that I just did. Maybe let's give it a different name. 2-layer. Open that 2-layer one. So that means I can take the mid layer and just delete all the things that I don't want. So I'm just gonna get rid of that union. I'm gonna ungroup these. I'm gonna get rid of that 3. And so I think the idea here is that you can like think of this as just a single piece of acrylic. And and add any elements that you want here. So for example, I could have like a bunch of like little floating stars. And in that case, I wouldn't need a back layer. So I'm gonna delete that. Oh, of course, I'm using it in the preview. So this is a cool thing. Like whenever you try to delete a component that's being used elsewhere, it won't let you. So I need to delete that from here. It's also in cut. All right, so yeah, the idea is that I would have a mid layer where I'm just sort of engraving these elements, and that would be a piece of acrylic. Sorry, I'm going to do the pink one here. Make it all pink. So I think I would want these to be just like a flat piece of acrylic. So yeah, I guess I would do it like that and then just leave these as an engraving. But anyway, I think you kind of get the idea. Hopefully, this inspires other variations. I suppose this is another one that is a 2-layer thing. Like this was a simpler one where like it has a front, it has a back, and you can put a picture in it. So anyway, I hope this one was somewhat instructive. Once again, there is no live stream on next week because it's going to be July 4th. And thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice couple of weeks. I'll see you on the following Thursday after July 4th. Cool.